I was wondering, you know, some
Yeah.
people have special rights.
No, they don't.
I know.
And I could smell from the heat. I'm like, oh. Except it's kind of weird at 98-degree heat to smell like vanilla and baked goods. Yeah. Yes. Oh, I did find out the crosswalk. So your corner. The reason the crosswalk originally was supposed to go there, when they were doing excavation, there's a storm drain pipe that is literally right there that they can't move. And because of that, if they're gonna put that crosswalk in, the ramp has to orient in that direction. Yeah, that's why.
That's why I just, I actually witnessed something this week.
Brings dinner salad.
Is that the
Yeah,
old
that
barn
sounds like
that is, or?
No, it's the one.
Yes.
Well,
When you're coming in the entrance.
the ladder truck was coming into
down
the
Route
hill
10, you make the first
Saturday, I
left
think it
to
was.
go in.
The car was
It's
coming
right there on
up
the
from
right side.
the dentist office area
I was here when they were
and
mobilized.
Breakfast.
took the
It's
turn
not open
wide
very late.
and almost had taken a turn at the front of there.
Yeah.
Because with the parking there,
Yep.
it has to be a center, they have to get through center. They almost paid the last.
Back in the barn.
I was at a wedding
And
here.
if that's going to
6
be
years ago, 6, 7 years ago.
the in-way,
Good.
Yeah, I see your point. They're gonna have to do that.
is gonna have to be in the center there and turning, this, people are gonna have to slow down and get in there and,
Agreed.
How hot today is it?
Totally get rid of that shirt.
3 alarms would be good for that place. 3 alarms there would be good.
Yeah, the caster's
It's a
on
10
the-
dozen donut.
That's a
10
reminder.
dozen donut fire.
Well, make that place look better.
Yeah. We're gonna hold off a minute or so, Mayor is on his way, and since we're kind of shortening it, I don't know, was Burst gonna be here?
I sent him the location, but yeah, I don't know what Tony's.
They could be tied up with that emergency as well, so. Let's wait a couple minutes. So Jody, I counted all the ducks.
You did.
Missing 11, Colleen has 11 ducks.
Oh, did she find them? Okay, because I've been selling some, so we need, yeah, as long as you got all the numbers, or we can
We're
reassign
just
them.
missing 11 numbers, so.
Okay. Here we go. Yeah, I just put it in my calendar to remind myself to actually drop them out, drop off the early.
That's what she did the last time. She came to the spot and said,
Oh,
yeah, she dumped them all in the spot, that's cat,
Right.
and then she sat in there and
I'm registered.
cleaned them all out. That's what the worst things to have to do.
Yeah, no, thank you all for doing that and getting this.
I actually feel a lot better. Yeah, the whole getting to
Yeah.
putting time in is what I said, the list of what I want to focus on next time, but then the actual putting time in, going to departments, making sure everything came over. And so it's
Hi, John.
Best, nice and warm tonight.
Well, I'm a lot less than what the other guys have on, I'll tell you.
Man,
I don't wear that stuff anymore.
Not the tactical gear.
Jeez.
I'd look for the best concern about the meeting.
Wowie. Yeah.
Fisticuffs.
Well, Franklin's been taking a long one. So,
Maybe we should get him a map.
yeah. So I guess we'll call a meeting of the Fire Police Committee in order. And, roll call, please.
Bill Jenks,
Here.
Tom Bull,
Here?
Tom Boucher,
Here.
Fred Levering will join us soon, and Keith Durr.
Here.
There he
Look at the devil.
Perfect time. Okay, committee will entertain any public comments.
Hi.
Do we have any public comments today?
Do you want to say?
Yeah, Tammy Spire, 510 North 4th Street. Just, being at the corner of the whole, what is it officially called, the,
4th Street project, 4th Street extension.
let's go with that. This weekend I noticed, actually with your ladder truck, the 2 stop signs were removed at 4th Street, at the corner of 4th and Oley, or to go down 4th Street. Someone clipped the corner really tight and almost broadsided your tanker truck coming through, so can it be considered about reinstalling those, the stop signs again? I know you guys wanted the thoroughfare to go through again, but people are still driving through the closed road S section. They are going over the barrier. People are cutting through private property to get through there, and the police have been fantastic about sitting over there, and the time that they are over there, they get people all the time, so that's great, but there's still safety issues, absolute safety issues, and considering there's going to be an increase 2-fold, 3-fold of traffic going through there, it is a safety issue for your residents. So.
Which of the stop signs they cut?
So the
Yes,
intersection,
39 work to follow my
the intersection of 4th Street and then Oley Street cuts down and goes into the Public Works garage. There were stop signs north and south coming into that 4-way intersection. Those stop signs were taken out, I believe, about 2 weeks ago.
About 2 weeks.
4th Street is still not officially open to the public. One thing I was hoping when I was out there on Friday, the sign company was actually installing the right turn only and the yellow warning sign at the
There-
pork chop.
There is a yellow warning sign in the middle of the barrier, however, people have moved the barriers over and they can still drive around the barriers.
No, I'm talking the pork chop that's at the intersection of 4th and North Wyomissing Boulevard. If you're headed out,
Right.
Dr. Augustus' office, that pork chop has a permanent sign that
And
goes in the
people
middle.
can get through the sign and the road closed sign because they back up and pull through and still get through to turn.
So that's something I think we're gonna have
I-
to monitor.
a
and stay
simple-
open.
If you just add more barriers, like things that are not movable, that would probably solve that, but people are still moving the horse to get through there because it's more convenient than waiting on, Park Road. And I could sit there and videotape and I can show you 10, 15 cars within 2 hours doing it.
I know just from being out with
Yeah, it's,
Concrete barriers over?
they are driving over that center barrier.
So think of the right in, right outs at Wawa, at the intersection, like those pork chops, the raised median, so to speak. We put one of those in, if you're coming out 4th Street, 60-inch North Wyomissing Boulevard, there's one to force traffic to go right. Even though there's a sign in the middle of that pork chop that says right turn only, people are driving over it to make a left turn up.
And they're actually going through it to still turn right as well. They're just going over it out of convenience instead of turning around and coming back through and ignoring the no through signs. That's what they're still doing.
Can we see what Jim can do, maybe chain and lock so they can't move them or something?
I mean, the police have been doing a phenomenal job sitting there. And every time they're there, they get people and it's great to see. But I know you guys can't be there
Yeah, we can't be there
24/7
all the time,
and that's
Yeah.
understandable. But if you're gonna have people riding bikes there, and we have kids in the area that ride bikes, and it's just not a safe thing right now.
Can we get with Jim, see if he can do something that they can't move them? comments, Mr. J.D.?
Yeah, I have just a quick question. I wasn't planning to say anything today, but I'm curious, what's the policy with parking inside the borough here, the parking lot? I noticed you parked this just now. Is that a public parking space, or is it just, especially is your vehicle government owned or something? So I'm just trying, if we're allowed to park or somebody, or it's just, as far as I know, that those are for police cars.
There are no specific regulations. The public can park in this lot if they have borough business.
Good info.
Anyone can park in this lot as long as they have borough business or attending a meeting.
So I can come and park there? Okay.
There's a space.
That here's, thank you.
Hi, John.
Okay, any other public comments? Okay, we'll move on to the fire department.
Good afternoon. For the month of June to date, 116 responses consisting of 17 fires, 44 medical or motor vehicle accidents, 8 hazardous conditions, 42 alarm activations, 3 fire police only, 2 smoke detector installs. Total responses in the borough 71, outside of the borough 45. We had fire damage for the month of June to date, $95,000. Saved property for the month of June, $11,405,000. That was for building fire at Red Lobster and Jake's Oil. Average of 5 personnel per incident. We had 11 volunteer responses, and to date, 748 responses. For the expanded May report, there was 244 responses system-wide, 154 fire-related calls, 90 medical or motor vehicle accidents. We had a fire loss for the month of $21,000. That was all in Spring Township. We gave aid 40 times. We received aid 45 times. We had 76 overlapping calls. Dispatch to en route time was 1 minute 54 seconds, and dispatch to on scene 6 minutes 53 seconds. We gave aid in Laureldale Borough 1 time. Western Berks Fire Department 19. Leesport 1. Bern Township 1. Milton 1. West Reading 8. Muhlenberg Township 15. Shillington 2. Kenhurst 2. Cumru 4. And the City of Reading 2. So I have the reports if anybody has any questions.
Any questions? What's the status with the tower?
The tower is still broken. They had last
Shocking.
last week they flew 2 people in. Seagrave flew 2 people in from Seagrave to look at it, and now we're waiting for parts. We still have the consistent issue of we lose power from the turntable back to the bucket, so they're trying to figure that out. So Seagrave is working with 10-8. I don't have an update on that. We are diligently waiting to get that back because the ladder, when it got its annual NFPA service and certifications, has an oil leak that has to go to a Cummings dealer. That will all be under warranty, but apparently they got to take a good portion of the engine apart and the transmission out to get where the oil leak is to fix that. And then we just recently got a recall for that engine related for the fuel rails or something like that we're trying to figure out. I have the same issue at Spring with our 2 trucks. If it's going to be like the manufacturer fixing it or a Cummings dealer or whatever. So hopefully we have progress after this week.
Okay. Yeah, Pat, you have something on
Yes,
this?
this morning Chief Hacker and I met with Bob Bainbridge from Fire Line in regards to the sale of the tower once it returns, once it's properly repaired and meets the NFPA standard. We come up with a list of questions. We have a service agreement with them that we're reviewing, and we'll be sending over to the solicitor's office for review as moving forward.
Maybe by next year we'll be able to sell. Yeah, really.
You know, I know it's just me, but I really don't feel comfortable selling that to another, fire department. I know they're gonna get all the service records or whatever, but, is there a way we can get around that, just give it away or whatever? Sorry, Kate. You know,
Plans
just,
committee didn't like that idea.
yeah, I don't know, it just seems
I mean, once
like-
we get a clean bill of health on it, we're selling it and it's fixed. I mean, the people that were buying it, it would be no different than buying a used car. I mean, they would have the records there. I mean, it would kind of be buyer beware. But when we were getting rid of it, it would be NFPA compliant at that point. Like it would be 100% in service and ready to go.
I can't recommend that you give it away, but I agree that full disclosure is appropriate.
Looking
Well,
at it
you
from
get
a buyer, looking at it from a buyer's standpoint though too, they're gonna get their alternative is to go out and spend what, $2 million?
And maybe as a
Or
company,
400,000.
maybe it's a company that's only running 200 or 300 calls a year versus running 1,600 calls a year. You know, so it may.
There's people who would love to have that,
Yeah.
love to pay for that.
And if they're not operating it every day, maybe they wouldn't notice the issues. I mean, like our guys come in every day and they check both trucks when they're there to make sure that everything's good with them. They fly them and test everything and stuff like that to make sure the truck's ready for their shift, so. But yeah, I mean, I hear you. I mean, I think that's gonna cause us a lot of grief with selling it, because I think the word's gonna get around, and we discussed that a little bit today, you know, with the broker and stuff like that. I mean, people are gonna know the truck, they're gonna know, so.
Anything else under fire? Anybody have any questions? Thank you. Tony.
Afternoon. You have our report, there were 284 calls for service in Wyomissing for the month of May. The breakdown in your packet. Give you an update on the building. The second contractor, remediation contractor, has finally finished the demolition of the building. For those of you who have been there before, it is a complete basic shell of itself. There are basically 4 rooms upstairs now. It's just some studs, and that's about it. Today they're starting the glass beading or glass something process where they kind of scale the boards and all that. With glass and soda ash or something, and that should take 2 days to do the whole building. And then they come in and redo all the cleaning on it and clear it up for service. Lee Olson and his group has been put together and contracted by the insurance company to build the architectural plans and everything else to bring it all up to code and to get us a set of plans of what they're going to reconstruct and put it out for bid. So hopefully 6-8 months. Maybe more, maybe less.
So your authority, is that a 501c3 or not?
Yeah, we are 501c3.
Because on my bucket list, believe it or not, because I'm a weird guy, I want to write a grant by myself and get some money. So I'll give you a ring sometime and see what you would want, because the borough, either fire or police, don't qualify for that. But I'll probably fail, but I'm going to try.
You know what? I've wrote a lot of grants. The worst they're going to tell me is no.
Right.
You just keep trying, and some bite. I've wrote grants to CSX, to Norfolk Southern, because we have all that coming through here, and they participate. Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no.
And how much do you get?
It depends on what I'm looking for, but I've gotten $600,000-700,000 in grants. There's years I've gotten $200,000 in grants. So we try.
I'm looking for 10.
I try for everything. Wawa gives us a couple thousand. Walmart gives us a couple thousand every year. So
And you're eligible for the low interest.
the 2%, yeah.
Well, Wawa's into one of their 3 main focuses, and that's what I was looking at, is first responders. So, how much do they give you?
They give us $1,000 a year. It's
That's
just
not
their
bad.
standard. Their standard. Walmart usually does 1,000 to 2,500 depending on how they're feeling. You can apply for that. Every 90 days you can reapply for it.
Yep.
Sam's Club's also included in that. they're bigger ones you have to get invited to do. Like I tried to do the state one, the community one for the regional funds about 2.5 years ago, and that's when all the hurricanes hit in Texas and all that. We knew we were done for that. But no, any help I can give, let me know, I'll get you all the details.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Tony? Thank you, sir. We'll be right home. John, I know you're anxious to go on vacation.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I just wanted to give you guys an update on the body cameras, vehicle cameras. Everything has been ordered. So they're saying 6 to 8 weeks delivery time. So with everything still being affected by COVID, we'll see, but that's what they're telling us right now. So after everything is here, we have to have some install time, some training time with everything. So if at 8 weeks, we're probably looking at 10 or so till everything is up and operational. So progress there. I know we wanted to talk a little bit about the issues at Park and or 4th and Ole with the parking. So I was out there and met Michelle and who else was out there that day?
Jim McCarthy, Tammy,
Tammy.
Bill was there
Yeah.
unexpectedly, Jim Babb. And I might be able to summarize this with some follow-up conversations I had with Tammy and Sharon Bear and the Shoemakers last week, and feel free to interject at any time. What we discussed was making Greenwich Street one way headed west, Ole Street one way headed east, make both sides allowable parking on both sides of Ole and Greenwich, hold off on doing permit parking till 4th Street opens. We give it a couple of weeks to see what the parking situation is actually like in those 5 spaces across from Tammy's house and a couple of others. John will put up the speed enforcement counters on both sides of 4th Street, so we have actual data for what speeds are going in both directions. We'll have a police presence there whenever possible, and I think that covers everything. In talking to Tammy, the Shoemakers, Sharon Bear, and a couple other residents, they all like the one-way direction on the streets. The idea is we can still get the guys in to the maintenance garage by having Ole come to the east. Greenwich, by making it go to the west only, we put do not enter signs on the Park Road side of that, so we're effectively forcing people to use the roundabout. We're shutting down, you know, what their old cut through was. So I'm hopeful with that. That takes care of it.
One other thing with that, those 5 spaces for the potential permit parking, one thing I want the council to be clear upon too is those 5 spaces there are painted with the lines, so they're marked out. One thing about that is those lines, for example, West Reading, they'll enforce, you'll give you a parking ticket if you're parked over the lines, in essence taking up 2 spaces. That is not something that's in the Pennsylvania Vehicle Code for us to enforce. That is something that's an ordinance to enforce. So that's really, as I think, that's the only place in the borough where we lined out parking. So if somebody's parked and they're in 2 spaces, that's not a violation part of the vehicle code. So that's not something that we would be able to enforce in any way. So if they're taking up 2 spaces, they're taking up 2 spaces, as long as they're, not, within a foot of the curb, and all that kind of stuff. If that is something that you would want us to have to enforce, then you would have to pass an ordinance similar to West Reading's to allow for that kind of thing. So as it is now, we would not be able to enforce somebody parking and taking up the 2 spaces. So that's something that, I don't know if you want to consider that or not, but so that's the only place in the borough that we have that. So I don't know that it's worth it. I don't know what the parking is going to be. It might be just a wait and see kind of thing as we see how that's going once everything opens up. But just a heads up, and I want to let you know that too, that we cannot enforce that. So if you see people parking like
I don't think that was the issue.
Well, I
That wasn't
know.
the issue. So this is the first I'm hearing about this, and everybody that would be using those spots are courteous to each other. And considering there's no vehicles that would be parking there that would extend the size of the spots, I am an absolute horrible parallel parker. I can't parallel park for 2D. That's what happens when you grow up in the country. I don't even cross the lines. Nobody crosses the lines that live there that use those. So I don't think that that's going to be applicable in this situation. That's not something that we're worried about. We're worried about coming home, not having a place to park, that we're gonna have to park 3 blocks down the road when we paid for those spots with our tax money. That's what we're worried about. We're not worried about, oh my God, he is 2 feet over that line, now I can't park. No, we're not worried about that. Because we can literally fit 6 cars in there. During the winter, when I plowed that out by myself with our snow blower, we fit an F-150, 3 SUVs, and 2 cars in there.
Okay.
4 hours to do that, and we fit them all in there. So if someone's over the line, we can still fit there. So that's the least of our worries of someone going over the line. It's more so having it available for the people that need it, that literally are completely losing their parking spots because of this adventure.
I think with the one-way, that's gonna help alleviate. And then Michelle's contacted the owner of those trailers, and he said that's gonna loosen up, you know.
They're gone.
Yeah,
They're
Yeah,
gone, never
so
to
there's
return.
5 more spaces, so.
Well, John, correct me if I'm wrong, but in West Reading, they have permit parking basically for the Reading Hospital, but you can park somewhere for 2 hours without a permit, right?
Yeah, I believe so. And I'm not sure how they're enforcing that now, because the old ways of being able to stripe taking a chalk line and putting it on the tire, that's actually in the legal search now by the state, Pennsylvania Supreme Court. So I don't know if they're photographing it and time stamping it that way, but yes, I believe they give you 2 hours.
I think that contacting West Reading Borough to see what they're doing is a great idea. However, writing your own ordinance for here, whatever you guys write for your borough is what goes. And that's, I think West Reading gives a good idea. And West Reading does have permit parking for non-hospital residents over there as well.
Well, when he said for the hospitals, it only goes
Right.
out so far
Right.
from the hospital.
Right.
They're
But
trying
there
to force,
are other-
they're trying to force the employees of the hospital to park in the designated spots on the lots versus taking parking away from the residents over there.
Right.
That's what that was about.
But there are permit spots for residents that are not related to the hospital. So whatever ordinance Wyomissing writes for Wyomissing Borough is what Wyomissing follows. And like I said, West Reading has some good basis for their permit parking. But whatever ordinance you guys write would fit your borough residents.
Yeah, we can explore that as an alternative, you know, to see how this whole thing works out and
Right.
go from there.
Do we need,
Now, to make these one ways.
yeah, that's gonna be an ordinance, so, if those are non-existing regulations, you should make a motion to recommend council preparation and advertising of ordinance to put into effect those one-way directions.
So moved. Motion second? Second, all those in favor? Opposed?
I just wanna make sure, motion to draft the ordinance to put the one-way
Yes,
directionals.
for Greenwich West only and only east only.
Are we gonna do a temporary proclamation since that ordinance is gonna take a while to?
Yeah, I mean, if you want this to go into effect sooner, the committee could recommend to council that there be an emergency proclamation that would go into effect the day after the July council meeting, because the ordinance, what I anticipate is that council at the July meeting will authorize advertising of the ordinance and it will be enacted at the August meeting. So the ordinance won't be effective until after the August council meeting, but the emergency proclamation could put the regulation into effect after the July council meeting. So if you want to add that or do a separate motion for that to accelerate the time that this regulation could go into effect, you could do that.
We have a motion, second. Tom, second. Question? Any more questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So be it.
And what I understood from the discussion, permit parking will hold off and see what happens. Very good.
Have it.
Tammy, you're pleased with the direction we're going in right now?
I am
And we're keeping our fingers crossed.
I am pleasantly surprised at how willing you guys are to work with the residents. I've been there for almost 20 years, and since day one, it's like, oh, Berkshire Heights people, they're kind of like, they're like the, you know. But it's refreshing to see that you guys are taking our concerns seriously and actually willing to work with us, which is greatly appreciated on the resident side. And I speak to all the residents, and I am more than happy to report back to them that you guys are actually listening to us and really truly are concerned about our needs. So thank you.
You certainly are. Thank you for your compliments.
Well, the whole thing about the whole 4th Street project in the first place was to further economic development, that we knew there was going to be a problem. So we hope that, you know, this whole scenario can work itself out, because, you know, Park Road would have been a pain in the butt for everybody, not
Right.
just Berkshire Heights people, but everybody. So, yeah, we're attuned to your concerns. That's it.
Okay. Any,
Couple more things. Sure. Can you bring up that one? 2 weeks ago, Jim Babb and I met with some representatives from Spring Township about the intersection there at Grandview Boulevard and Woodside. So as we're looking at this now, Wyomissing is to the left half of the screen. You see Woodside, and it becomes Snyder. I'm sorry, we are the right half of the screen, I'm sorry. And Spring Township is to the left half of the screen. They've done some traffic studies there, because we split this. At that intersection there, if you would turn left on the Woodside, the left half there is the borough, until you come to the little alleyway, which you kind of see towards the bottom of the hill, or at the bottom of the picture. You turn right on Snyder, we go down, there's a tree right there, there's a house past there, that house is in Wyomissing, and then it becomes Spring after that on both sides. Spring is the left. Snyder's a pretty steep hill, if you guys are familiar with that, as it comes up to the intersection. So they've done some traffic studies there, and I guess this intersection warrants a 4-way stop sign. They, however, are concerned about putting a stop sign there on Snyder because of how steep it is in winter times, people coming to a stop and then maybe being able to pull out. One of the issues, and I can't really see it so easily on this map, is like, you have one, sure.
It shows up better on the projector screen than TV.
So, as you're coming Woodside over to Snyder here, the double yellow lines don't mesh up. So, in other words, as you come up over the hill, you're in your lane, all of a sudden when you cross over, you're in oncoming lane traffic. So, what they are considering doing is taking these double yellow lines here on Snyder and moving them over their way a little bit, so that it's going to line this up a little bit better, okay? So that as you're coming up the hill, you're gonna stay in your side of the intersection when you get up here and come down to Woodside. That's the minimum of what they wanna do. What they were talked about is there's a possibility, if that doesn't improve things, is making this maybe not a 4-way, but a 3-way intersection. So meaning we would need to then pass an ordinance to put a stop sign right here. As you come up Woodside, this is coming up the hill, then it crests. There's maybe 100 feet here that gives you a little bit more sight lines than we do here on Snyder, so you can see traffic coming. So we were talking making it a 3-way, so Woodside and Grandview, Grandview coming out this way, Grandview coming out this way, might help to alleviate some of that, because Snyder would then be able to keep moving. That, of course, is something that would come down the line, but that would be something that we would have to pass as a borough to make that a three-way intersection to cover our intersection there. It's already a stop sign on Grandview both ways. So when we approach from our way, when we get to that intersection, there's a stop sign there. From Spring Township side, there's a stop sign there. So to make it a three-way, we would have to be the ones that do that. As you come up the hill, there's parking on Woodside, and then kind of where it gets to the crest, there's a no parking sign forward, so that we create that sight lines here, so that the cars don't park along here and block the views for the traffic coming this way to be able to see. That sign is getting kind of worn and old. We may want to consider replacing that sign, just for the no parking ahead kind of thing, just even so. But that may come in the future. So like I said, they're looking, it's all on their side, they're looking at painting, that's what they're gonna try to do, move it over so that it lines up more, so it would actually be moving the double yellows on that side this way, so it lines up as they come across here, to see if that can alleviate it.
So did you say Grandview has stops going both east and west?
Yes, so Grandview coming this way, this is coming from Spring, there's a stop sign here. When we're on Grandview here, when we come down, we have a stop sign right here. This splits here, coming this way, it becomes Snyder, down here becomes Woodside. This is open. This is open to traffic. There's no stopping there. And that's why I said, but they're concerned about making Snyder a stop sign because of how steep that hill is. In the winter time, it might be a
So just Woodside North that you're looking for a new stop sign?
Potentially,
Yeah.
potentially. I think right now they want to try it with the moving the lines over to see if that helps. But if it doesn't really, we do get crashes, and it's one of these things where it's, where did the car pull out from, and which way was the other car coming? So if it comes off of Grandview and they're coming up Snyder, that's the crash. Spring usually takes it. If they're coming up Woodside and coming out here, we'll take it. If it's one of these deals where they come up Snyder and they come out here, well then it's kind of where do they rest? And then we figure it out from there. But it's just a shared intersection, and it's kind of bad with, with the hills that you got really on both sides. Woodside's a little better with the slight distances because it flattens out, like I said, for about 100 feet from about right here. It's flat, like I said, we have it as no parking right there.
If Spring wants to repaint the lines, that's
Yeah.
fine. More important than moving the lines is extending the lines. When you come up Woodside, you find yourself on the wrong side of the traffic on
They were looking.
Snyder, and all they gotta do is extend those lines up so that when you come up Woodside, you see it, and you just
One of
slide
the
over
things,
to the
one of
right.
the things that they want to do is they're talking about here is putting some. They got to look at Title 67, which covers all this kind of stuff with the painting of the lines, but maybe putting dashes through the intersection itself to help you as you go through the intersection to stay over.
You can
You can't
spot
put
the,
you can't
can
put
spot
solid
the end of
doubles.
those lines, you move over. I mean, this is really the only thing that needs to be done.
So, just for what it's worth, they may come and say, hey, we would like to make this a three-way. That would be up to the council if you want to adopt that as a stop sign right there.
When are they looking to repaint?
The painting's probably gonna happen this year, for sure, this summer. Oh, there you go. It shows how it is right now, how they're proposing it, moving the lines over.
I didn't realize there were other sheets or.
A couple of things that have come in. I got an application for a handicap parking space in the 800 block of Franklin Street. Miss Karen Miller Garrett. She's requesting one. There is no other handicap spaces on that block. She does state that she has off-street parking, but apparently for her to access her back of her house, their vehicle, they have a van for her wheelchair access. It can't go back there the way there's a porch or something like that that hangs out. So it's too high, so they can't park the van back there. So they have to utilize the street. So she is asking for, she's put in the application, she's got her handicap placard here, her types of things from her doctor and such. So they are requesting a handicap placard or space there in 800 block of Franklin.
What's the exact address?
She's at 800 Franklin Street.
Somebody like to?
I'll make it.
Second.
Motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, so be it.
I'll wait till after the council meeting to let her know, but, on Friday, I had a representative from Friends of Reading Hospital come to me to state that they are looking to again do the half marathon. They didn't do it last year because of COVID, so in 2018, they ran it. So they're looking at October 17th to do it. Nothing has been submitted yet. It was kind of a get to know, meet each other kind of thing and let them know what they were thinking. They're looking at doing the exact same type of thing where there's a mile fun run / walk, which is through West Reading and our area, a 5K, which is predominantly through our area, and then the half marathon, which goes through West Reading, the city, our area, a little bit of Kumru, crosses the river, and Spring Township. So there's a lot that they have to apply for the applications and such. But I just wanted to put on your radar that that's something that they are applying for. And I received applications for block parties, one in the 1200 block of Cleveland for right after the 4th of July parade. Everything looks okay with that. I've worked that out with Jim already, sent him some information. We can shut that down for them. It's something that they do normally every year. And then another one as well for the Fountain Park area on August 21st. That's another one where they've been doing it for, I think, the last 30 years or something like that. So those block parties are coming up. And then finally, our supervisor vehicle is, I told you that it was here. It's been striped and it is now at RMI, getting all the radios and lights and such put in. So I hope to have that in service in the next week or so, depending upon how well it takes them to get that. So that is all that I have. If anybody has any questions, I'm glad to answer.
Yeah, just the one thing that the committee made aware of, that in speaking to Phil Wolf, when these cameras come in, he is in favor of a photo opportunity and get some publicity if we can get it from the press, if that's possible, as well as in our own publications. He feels very strongly that there's others that have the money to do what he is also doing. And he feels that it could be an inspiration to get some of these people to, when we do a project and get some community involvement financially. And, so when everything does come in, I don't know, John, if you want to talk to me, and I'll give Phil a call, or if you want to call him.
And just a little bit more with the cameras, I wanted to say, I talked to PCCD about the grant, and what they said is, once we get our stuff we put in for the reimbursement, we have to provide proof of purchase, so a copy of the paid invoice and a copy of the canceled check, and then they make payment right after that. The total price with some of the reduction of some stuff, I talked with WatchGuard. I had told you that the total price was going to be $122,670. So now the total cost is coming down to, and this is including everything from the purchase of all the cameras, the installation of the equipment here, installation of the in-car cameras, is $120,845. So we got $2,000 pretty much knocked off. So that's what it looks like it's going to be.
Wow.
So that's if we pay it up front.
No, that's what it's going to be.
Still with the payment plan, so there's no advantage to paying.
Yeah, what they're looking at is they're expecting a first payment of $25,829, but we're going to want to make it at that 46, so that we get that 23,000. They'll just then the following years make the adjustments as to what.
So we just have to budget, when Phyllis does the budget, we just do the budget for the next 4 years. Speaking of the budget, John, I think we talked about that before. So the police car that's coming in, is that replacing one? Are you getting rid of one? Or are you keeping, or is it just an addition to?
No, this is just, we were still down one from,
From the accident?
yes, from that accident. That was car 9. Now, this is one of the ones that's coming in from this year for, this is gonna be a supervisor car. The supervisor car is gonna become the traffic car. So we just kind of rotate through.
I think we talked about it before, but can we get an inventory listing of what you have and what you maybe think you need to replace or add to over the next 5 years, so that when we're doing the longer term budgeting, we can start thinking about that, maybe setting some money aside if we can for various vehicles, and just look and see what you think needs to be done in the next 5 years, and just an approximate what you think the ballpark number.
I thought some of the issues with that, if memory serves me correctly, is that is the equipment that goes into, that it only fits in.
Well, that's the problem. When these cars change their models and they change the sizing, like the cages all have to be replaced and all that kind of stuff. So it doesn't fit. So that the light bars, if they get a little wider or shorter, or too big or too small.
So you basically have to re-equip each one.
Yeah.
Well, we can
Sometimes if it doesn't change, then we're okay, but other times, like this, for this last one, we had to replace everything because nothing fits.
John will sell the fire trucks and the outdated equipment at the same time.
Back. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
But would the committee like to make a resolution, request for council to make a resolution for this board?
Oh, good point. No, we haven't done that. Yes, I would like, to propose a resolution to Mr. and Mrs. Wolf for your generous contribution and bring that before council. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Thanks for bringing that up, Pat.
I'll just add, I'll put out the code red for the parade route on Friday. It'll cover just the parade route, obviously, or as best as we can draw the map. And that'll go out Friday around dinner time because of people, moving cars, and we gotta get everybody as well informed as possible, because there's always one or two or more, I don't know, that need to be towed the day of the parade, and there's always, some fussing about that, so we'll try to cover that as best we can, and in addition to hanging the signs, which John's gonna do, we'll put out a code red message for all that too.
Yeah, I believe the borough could, we're putting out the no parking signs, whatever they are.
Should we include on that? A reminder that the pedestrian bridge is closed.
Well, I guess I don't know. I don't wanna confuse them too
Yeah.
much, but
I think they'll figure it out pretty quick.
Oh, I know that, yes, absolutely.
Are you putting that code red out for the entire borough or just the
No.
general
it's just
area?
a parade.
Okay, so that people aren't not everybody's gonna get that anyway?
Yeah,
That's
that's
true.
true. That's true.
So John, do you have any feel about the size of the crowd we're gonna have on the 4th of July? I think it's
I have a
gonna be
feeling it's
huge.
gonna be big.
Yeah.
I don't have any information on it other than we didn't have it last year. Mask mandates are gone as of today. I think people just wanna be out and back to normal, so I think we're gonna have a large crowd.
Yeah, the
And
weather's
also-
supposed to be great.
The theme of it, the tribute to essential workers, I think a lot of people wanna recognize those who, went above and beyond last year.
I did see some 45, I'm gonna guess 45 to 50-year-old guy saw the bridge was closed and was trying to make his way through the creek to the other side.
You serious?
Yeah, so, I didn't see Westenberg's had a wall
Wasn't-
down there,
wasn't-
so maybe you got across, but, Okay, does anybody have anything else to bring before the committee? Not, entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Meeting's adjourned, thank you everyone.
Meeting next week.